informative session about the KL2 program. So the KL2 program is a mentored career development program through our CTSA, and I've got some slides here, and I'm going to share those. Okay, so can you see the slide that says UAMS on the front?
It was there, but now it went to another screen.
What about now?
Now it's there,
okay.
But you may put it in the presentation mode.
There we go. Okay, good. Thank you. So so this is about the KL2 program. So the KL2 program is a program that's sponsored under the Career Development Scholar Program through the TRI. And it's part of our overall CTSA grant, the Clinical and Translational Sciences Award grant, funded by the agency of the NIH called NCATS, National Center for Advancing Translational Sciences. And its goal is to increase the number and quality of independently funded clinical and translational research investigators at UAMS. We've been doing this for several years now. So it's really designed for early career faculty who are committed to developing a career in translational research. And in particular, researchers who want protected research time to pursue their research interests. That's one of the major things that this mechanism allows. It has you work with a mentor, so you need to be interested in working with a mentor, and you'll have to identify a mentor. And it will allow you to gain knowledge and training skills in order to become a successful researcher. And it does that both by having a research project and also having a specific research plan, which will be part of your application and which is part of what you'll do during the time of the KL2. So in order to be eligible, you need to be a full-time faculty member at UAMS, ACH, ACRI, or the VA, and below the rank of associate professor. You have to have a doctoral level degree, and there is a citizenship requirement. So in order to receive the award, you have to either be a citizen or have a permanent residence certificate actually in hand at the time that you would start this. And also there are exclusion criteria in terms of previous scientific grants. In particular, you can't have been a PI on an R01 level grant or a project director on a PO1, a program project grant, or similar types of grants. And there's other specific ones, and we can answer those individually if you have a question about a grant and if you're eligible. Also, you can't have had a previous career development grant, K23, K08, K01, or something like that, but it doesn't go the other way. Getting a KL2, so this is basically the same kind of grant as these other K awards, like K23s and so on. But so you can potentially go the other way. You can have a 2-year KL2, and then you can go on to receive a K23 or a K01 or some other grant like that. In fact, that's one of the things that we encourage. It's a 2-year program, and it provides protected time to be able to do the research as well as the training in the research, or the training related to the research. You're required to commit 75% of your time to these efforts. The NIH grant supports up to $95,000. So one important thing here is, everybody is going through the budgeting process right now at the department level. And if you are planning on applying for this, it's important that your department chair knows about it in order to be able to plan for it. Because if your salary is more than whatever 3/4 of $95,000, whatever is 3/4 that makes $95,000, then the department would have to supplement that salary in addition to that. So it's important that your chair knows about that. Scholars will have a mentor team to guide them on their research and career development. And the program also provides training for research and career development. That's one of the major things that it provides. The scholars will need to do a number of things as part of this. They'll have to create an individual career development plan and then regularly go over that with their mentor and with the program directors. They'll need to meet on a regular basis with their mentoring team, and they'll need to participate in quarterly meetings with the KL2 program directors. There's a number of things that you have to make sure that you're ready for to do this. Any pre-reviews or authorizations are needed by February 26th, so time is getting short for some of this. You have to submit your approval, so if it needs IRB approval or IACUC approval or some other sort of regulatory approval, that has to be submitted by March 12th. And there is a prior approval process that goes through NCAT. So for the selected scholars, there's a prior approval process. We actually have to submit the project to the NIH, to this agency of the NIH, and in particular for human subjects research. They have to approve that as well. Also, an NIH requirement for all of these mentored career development K awards like this is that you would complete a responsible conduct of research training, and that is sort of a standardized set of training, and UAMS has courses that can help you meet that, but that would be part of what you would do. Other requirements for if you're going to participate in this would be to attend the translational science meeting, which is annual. This year it's virtual, but hopefully in the future it will be in person. There's orientation meetings and other types of updates. We have a monthly research fundamental series, a seminar series that you would have to attend, and other program meetings. Also, you would need to submit quarterly reports and annual reports. We need to keep track on the progress. The NIH holds us accountable for how everybody is progressing. And then we would ask you, really require you to make sure that you acknowledge the TRI CTSA grant in all of the output that you have, in particular as it's related to your work as a KL2 scholar. In terms of the effort, so you have to have a full-time faculty appointment and dual appointment. So for instance, if you're part-time at UAMS and part-time at the VA, these can be tricky, and if you're in that situation, we would need to work with you to make sure that it's possible, and it's difficult actually. It's much easier if you have a full-time appointment at one place, but we will try to help with people that are in a situation where they have a joint appointment between two institutions. The requirement that 75% of your effort is put on this is, for the most part, non-negotiable. There are a few very rare circumstances where the NIH allows it to be less than 75%, but it's unusual for them to approve it, and it does require the NIH approval. So really, you should expect that you're going to be having 75% effort on this effort. The remaining 25% of your effort can be done however you are already doing it or however you want to do it, whether that's other research activities, clinical activities, teaching activities. That part's really up to you. In terms of other grant support that you can have, if you have one of these grants, it's okay to have industry support as long as it falls within that extra 25% that's not included in the 75% that would be supported under this. But federal research can be more problematic. For sure, there can't be overlap in the aims between them. And we also do have to get approval for that. So we would have to work with you on any other federal grant support that you would be trying to coordinate with this. The review criteria are actually pretty standardized by the NIH. It's the way that other K awards are reviewed, and the link is there, but the actual specific scored criteria. So these are the 5 elements that are scored. The candidate, that's your background, what your previous training has been, what your publication record has been. There's a portion in there where you can basically talk about your motivation and your pathway to where you got to. So that's all a part of that. The career development plan is a really important part of the application process. Don't think that the whole thing is just based on your research plan and that the other review criteria are not important, because they are. All of these are really important. And what we're looking for in this section on the career development plan, your goals and objectives, and the plans for receiving the mentoring, we're looking for really an overall understanding of how the career development plan within the grant is actually going to take you to that next level that you want to be to, maybe an R01 funded investigator or a federally funded investigator of some sort. The research plan is, that's the part that most of us are familiar with already, so that's what you're actually going to do during this 2-year project. The mentors are a scored portion of the grant as well, so the mentors experience with mentoring, so it's important to select a good mentor, somebody that you can work with, somebody that hopefully has got some experience with mentoring and has the ability to help guide you on to the next step of your career. And then the environment and the institutional commitment. And for these grants, that's going to be largely the environment that you can frame for yourself in terms of the of how the environment that you're sitting in is going to help you to get where you want, and then the commitment of your department or your division to you as well. So these are the submission deadlines in the process. So we ask for a letter of interest. If you submit a letter of interest and don't actually end up submitting an application, that's okay. But we really want to know who's going to be submitting applications. It helps us to organize reviewers ahead of time and be ready. The information about how to send that to NIA is there. The full application is due on March 19th at noon. There is a web portal to be able to submit that through. There will be interviews of the finalists on the week of April 26th, and the awardees will be announced May 3rd. So the whole turnaround time for this is really pretty quick. Then we have to immediately get working on all the approvals that you want, because we want to, you want to start on July 1st of this upcoming year, and you want to be as ready as possible. That includes our submission to NCATS for the prior approvals, and unfortunately that's been a little bit slow sometimes, so we want to make sure that we're not slow on our end, and that then we can push the NCATS to get their responses back to us. So that's the process. The RFA is on the website, and it's been in some of the emails that have gone out about this. There's also a FAQ section on there, so some frequently asked questions. And with that, we'll be happy to take any questions.
Hi, I have a quick question here. My name's Tiffany Hewitt, and I'm in CHP. I serve as the Director of Research for the Department of Physician Assistant Studies right now, and so I'm on this call because we are interested in the eligibility or possibility of a couple of our faculty. And so you mentioned that this is intended for early career investigators. What about career change investigators? So those either who are at the associate level or beyond, or have more than 5 years of experience, but are changing fields, changing tracks.
And unfortunately, this mechanism really isn't set up for that. Okay. It really has to be early investigators.
Okay, great. And so, do you all have a certain timeline or years that defines the early investigator?
So, for the K awards in general, it's a little bit fuzzy, it's really assistant professor. So if they've already been promoted to associate professor, that's really outside of the range of what we're looking at. Nia, correct me if I'm saying anything wrong.
That is correct. They are kind of fuzzy on their guidelines, but usually somewhere between 5 and 7 is like the far end. And I would say it's really designed for those early to mid-early. If you are kind of on the cusp of getting that associate professor, the program might not actually help you a whole lot, like what the program is designed to do. So yeah, it's kind of in that range.
Okay. Okay, great. Thank you. And then my last question along those lines is also, we have several faculty who are currently at the assistant professor rank and are pursuing their doctorate. So once the doctorate has been completed, would they still classify as early career faculty, even though their assistant professor rank has been in place for a number of years?
I believe yes, as long as they're at the assistant professor level. Nia, do you have any more insight on that?
That would be my interpretation, but sometimes when we run into people that it might be, weird application of rules, we always say, let's talk and let's ask our program officer how that would work out. But yeah, my interpretation would be they would be fine because they are not, they're still early in their actual postdoc.
Okay, great. Thank you.
And we've got a couple of questions in the chat. Miriam says, if we're awarded a KL2, are there restrictions to what type of grants we can apply to during and or after our KL2 award period? So after, no, there no restrictions at all afterwards. If you do apply for another K award, you'll be limited. The NIH only allows a total of either 5 or 6 years total. I'm not sure which. So whereas a K08, for instance, might be 5 years, you wouldn't be able to have the whole 5 years of the K08. During, so if it happens, if it's going to be funded while this grant is current, there are the restrictions on some federal grants, in particular anything that has overlapping aims, you wouldn't be able to do at all. And other federal grants we'd have to look at. There's a number of things that we'd have to look at for that. Internal, let's see, TRI funded or NIH funded awards, I don't think there would be any restriction on that, but again, you can't be funded for 2 things by 2 sources for the same research. So the aims would have to be overlapping, or not overlapping. Also, I'm assuming that our primary mentor needs to be a UAMS faculty member, but can we have co-mentors that are external to UAMS? Yes, you can. That's a good idea. Can mentors be from outside UAMS? So your primary mentor needs to have some sort of affiliation with one of the organizations that we showed in terms of eligibility, ACRI, ACH, UAMS, VA, but it's okay to have other mentors. And typically, how many awardees are funded per year through the KL2? It varies. We have 3 spots that the NIH funds through our KL2 grant mechanism and our CTSA. And this year we have 1 additional spot. I can say this, right, Nia?
Yes, yeah.
Okay. Yeah, we have 1 additional spot that is funded by the Cancer Institute that will be specific for somebody doing cancer research.
And just to clarify, the Cancer Award is not an official KL2 awardee because the funding does not come from the CTSA, but it's within the larger program that we run at TRI. So it's kind of packaged together. But if you are a cancer researcher and you're worried that if you submit your application and we say, oh, you're cancer and only consider you for cancer, that's not how it's going to work. Everyone is considered for the KL2s first. The people that do not get the actual KL2 awards that are also cancer researchers would then be in the running for the Cancer Award. So if we ended up with 4 cancer researchers, that's just how the cookie crumbles.
Elizabeth or Carolyn, do you want to add anything that that I left out?
I'll just add a couple of things. And there was a question earlier about whether or not you would have limitations on what you could apply to, based on being a KL2 scholar. And what that got me thinking about is the fact that, once you're affiliated with TRI, with your CTSA grant, it actually opens up a whole lot of doors, once you're past the KL2 stage. And so, part of the success of TRI is really creating an ecosystem for people to do translational research, and we get access to a lot of different RFAs through NIH that are just limited to people who are affiliated with the CTSA. And also there was lots of different sort of national opportunities to work with people at different universities at different CTSA sites. So once you're sort of a member of this program, of this club, you actually get a lot of special opportunities that open up to you.
And so just to clarify, to ensure that I heard you correctly, the primary mentor does need to have a UAMS affiliation or ACH, correct?
Yes, that's right.
Thank
Or
you.
VA, or, yeah.
Yeah.
There's another question in the chat, Dr. Arthur. Can you explain a little bit about the mentor outside of the applicant's field of expertise?
I'm not sure I understand the question.
So in the application, when you build your mentor team, it does require you to have mentors that are outside of your department, your core field of expertise, to sort of increase that interdisciplinary sort of mindset. So I think just a little more explanation about that. And my understanding is it's usually someone that is related to the project or your growth in general. So it's not just like randomly find somebody, but there is that requirement that we do want you to expand your connections.
Right, yeah, so really the point of that is just to make sure that you are expanding your field, and that it's not just, it shouldn't just be people, from immediately doing the same thing that you are, but people that can bring different things. And that's really part of the whole, the whole K experience anyway. Don't propose something that you're just already doing. The whole point of this is to actually be able to expand your expertise, and that's what the research should be partly. I mean, obviously you're going to make a continuation of something, but hopefully you're taking it in a little bit of a new direction. And in the training plan, we really want to see that you're learning new skills, not just the things that you've already been done in your PhD or in your postdoc or whatever, but that you're learning new skills. And that's what this mentoring requirement is about too.
Yeah, and as a good example, we often have scholars that have the science in the background of their project, and part of their KL2 proposal or project is some sort of implementation science related. Like I have my ideas and I want to do some sort of implementation in the community. So a great example of them expanding their mentor team to outside would be maybe adding someone from implementation science, that TRI has, like Dr. Curran, and saying, okay, he is my mentor and he's helping me specifically learn how to be an implementation scientist, which will then help my career and help my growth with the science that I'm doing.
And just a comment also that it's important to look upon this grant as part of your whole career. So it's like the next step. So this is an opportunity to get training and be trained in areas where you need to be strengthened in preparation for future NIH grant applications. So that's where it's a good idea then to seek out mentors that you can learn from in areas where you need to strengthen for the future, your future work.
I want to know how many awardees per cycle on this scale.
Sorry, I didn't get that.
Oh, how many people can be funded through this KL2 program?
Oh, how many people can be funded? So this year there will be four new people funded. Three through the CTSA mechanism and one through additional funding that the Cancer Center has provided.
Thank you. One more question, please. Is there any basic difference between Cancer Center funded KL2 trainee and CSTAM trainee?
So yes and no. Internally, we treat everyone the same. They go through all of the same things. We have the same meetings with them. We expect that they'll do the same things, their frequent meetings with their mentor and all sorts of things. There are sometimes some differences. So for instance, sometimes there are opportunities that come through that are specifically for awardees that were in one of the NIH funded spots. And so that there are a few differences, but in terms of the outcome, we anticipate that it'll be the same. We're really grateful to the Cancer Center for allowing us to fund an additional spot that wouldn't have been able to be funded with the funding that we had. Because of certain NIH requirements, there are some things that come down the line that are a little bit different. And Nia, I don't know if you want to say that better than I did, but
yeah, that's pretty much it. We treat everyone the same and make everyone kind of do all the same requirements, but the funding is different and the sort of classification. You know, you would call yourself an institutionally funded scholar, but we try to treat everyone the same.
Thank you.
any other questions? All right, well, I look forward to seeing applications from hopefully most of you on this call. And this is, let me just put in my personal thoughts. This is a really great program. K programs in general are what our institution and a lot of institutions like us really need to be able to train the next generation of investigators. And this is a really fantastic opportunity to be able to get that protected time, really to force you to sit down and think about what really is the best way for your career development to happen, and then to have our help and the help of your mentor to actually make that work. This is a really great opportunity. So I look forward to seeing all of your applications.
Thanks, everyone. And if anybody has any questions, just feel free to email me.